Welcome to the Holy Spirit's Curriculum of Joy podcast. My name is Wanaka Oberhuber, and I'm your host. My guest today is Aisha Makara. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you, and nice to meet you as well. And I'm very excited to share my story today.
So you'll have the opportunity right now. How did you come to see the world the way you do today?
Well, I don't know where to start. I probably start from my childhood. The way I grew up, it was way more I grew up in very free, open space with animals, and it was like with everything is just open and free and safe. And I believe I feel the world is just very beautiful and safe space when I started to explore and become, let's say, when I grew up and I started to explore other part of the world. I started to travel. One of my biggest dreams is to travel around the world, and not just a travel as a tourist, travel as a traveler, and learn about other countries, about other cultures and other people. So for me, it's world is very beautiful and amazing place to be, and it's so much to learn. It's so much to explore and to see. It's so many beautiful places in the world, so many beautiful cultures, food. So I'm very excited to live and to explore and continue to live my joyful life. That I feel like life is just so joyful and beautiful, and every day I'm just very happy to. So that's kind of life is a joyful gift, and it's very magical itself.
Okay, then let's expand on that. So you're traveling and getting to know various cultures. What did you learn from that? What did you take away from this opportunity to get to know so many different cultures?
For me, it's all about learning what's I would like it's about learning and about just understanding better world. Everywhere it's actually the same, people studying and working, and it's exactly the same everywhere. Special, for example, when you go into other part of the world, Africa, some part of the Africa, or some part of the South America, where it's not so much tribal we experience here in Europe. And you're learning a lot from the tribal living as well. It's way more about community, for example. It's all about how the community have a different roles. Everyone has a role to play. Everyone kind of have the role to explore. For example, if chief of their tribe is have a role, and all his family and everyone is there is have their role. So it's more about hierarchy somehow, in tribal hierarchy. And I believe in the level of culture, or it's also a lot about hierarchy. So you're learning that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. As a culture, it's all about how to work with this in the country level, for example, or in a global level. I believe it's changing right now because of the technology. Travel more, we can see more, and we can observe more and learn more. And from that perspective, I believe every time is opportunity, or every day is opportunity to learn something about the world. And we're moving towards globalization, and I believe a globalization is the next step, where we will change the perspective of hierarchy, and it's going to change towards the global community that we form right now slowly. And where people who is traveling, who would like to actually do that change, that global change that we're facing right now. And today is actually inauguration of Donald Trump of being president of America, actually, as well. It's like the big day for America, the inauguration day. Like it's many things, like how you look at the perspective of globalization and how, for example, media right now, I don't know where you are, I'm in Lisbon, and you're probably somewhere in other part of the world, right? So it's like how we can all connect right now as well, when you look from that perspective of uh, like language, for example, as well, like by us speaking English, how much we can connect and how much we can learn from each other, our thoughts and our perspective, our philosophy. And by having access to travel around the world and have this opportunity, and it's actually a privilege to learn about other cultures, is also like you're learning so much and you're developing your own philosophy, your own kind of way of understanding better, like something magical and something very like beautiful to observe and be actually part that we're facing right now.
So, when it comes to your perspective, you were just saying this idea of a global community appeals to you, and how one can contribute to that when one's traveling, and it looks like, do you have a traveling lifestyle where you can actually travel a lot and also have enough funds to do that? Or how do you do that so that you can actually live this perspective?
Um, from my perspective, it's not about the funds. It's about like planning, like understanding like how much time you can, for example, work, and after how much time you can, explore other places of your time. It's about like, for example, you have opportunity before, like some years ago, like I was traveling. I was planning my year ahead, and I knew that okay, I'm going to work so much. For example, I work in 9 months of the year, and after I travel 3 months or something like that, and I kind of like started to, when you have, especially when you have your own business or your own like online business, so it's easier to move around and like travel around the world and see other places, because the money wise, for example, when you're traveling in Asia, it's way like it's so cheap to travel around Asia than, for example, to travel around America or around the South America. It's cheaper than to travel in Europe. So every country or every continent has the good sides and not good sides, like a plus, like the positive and negatives, and like you get to understand what fits you best. In my case, I like more to be in Europe, and I enjoy more like European lifestyle, and this more like a relaxation that we have, and the way we're living life here. Then, for example, I was living in the United States as well some time, and I just, I like to explore and learn about different lifestyles, and I just understanding what lifestyle best like fits me. I don't like so much Asia, like even so I travel, it's like for me, Asia is like a lot of pollution, it's a lot of people, it's it's amazing, very kind people, very like beautiful and joyful, and at the same time it's too much for me. For example, for me as a human being, I prefer I live where I live right now in Europe and Lisbon, saying what best fits for my own like beliefs and my own things that I enjoy in my life. And I believe everyone can do that, because we're right now living in the world of transformation, and the world that everyone can be a superstar of the YouTube, of on podcast or on whatever they decided. I just feel like it's all about commitments and growth and working towards what you want to do with that, the way you want to develop it. So for me, like I'm an artist, so I'm selling my art. I'm also like have my online program. I develop like other project. I'm consulting other people or like other companies. So for me, like it's of course it didn't happen in one day. It was a growth. It was a process of uh, moving. Of course, it was a lot of like up and downs and a lot of failures, and it is what it is, and it's life. And I believe like when I look at my life right now, I'm very happy who I am. I'm very happy who I am, and I'm very like um, grateful what what I have and where I am right now in what part in this particular part of the world. So for me, it's all about creating a safe space for myself and people around me. And at the same time, when I travel like intentional, and I understand, for example, when I'm going somewhere, I know why I'm going there. So it's like I even don't know how to explain it with words. It's just like just decision. It's like you're making that decision and you live it. You just creating that, and everything just unfolds itself when you're making that. Of course, it's not easy in the beginning, and of course you be scared a little bit, especially when you're doing the first time. You understand how much trust issue you have, and to face the difficulties, and like getting out of your comfort zone, and do something you really love. It takes courage and bravery and commitment as well. And it's not just happening in one day. It takes years of approaching it and working towards that.
Yeah, that sounds like there's a lot to think of when you travel, and this idea of intention. I think that's a very important one. So, what is your intention when you are traveling, or what are the purposes that you have? Because you said you intentionally travel to places, so you must also have intentions that you have for those places. So, what type of intentions are you speaking of?
For me, it's all about like learning about. In this case, I like to learn about culture, and every time I'm going there, I'm doing my best to understand their values and principles of the like culture values and culture principles and traditions. I really enjoy the tradition, especially when the country and have these traditions, and where the traditions come from. I like learn about the history. I like to learn history from the own perspective of the from the country side, because what we're learning from outside, it's completely different with what we're learning when we're inside. And what from my own perspective, when I'm traveling, I don't travel with tourist books. I don't know, with the travel guides. I travel and I just meet the local people and I ask them the questions, and I'm learning from the local perspective, and I'm just backpacking. I'm going around and just being like open to learn, open to like lost myself in the culture, especially when I know that I have, for example, 1 month or 3 months of traveling. So I don't, for me, it doesn't become anymore that I get to go and visit all the countries that they're around. For me, it's about a journey itself, like what, like going deeper in the process of learning these 3 months about myself, my own like limits and my own beliefs, and also like working in facing things that's not easy, and at the same time being open enough to learn from others people and ask for support when you need to. So for me, it's always like challenging myself when I'm going to the new places that I never gone before, and the learning from the other people and other cultures about more about myself. myself in the fashion. Like understanding that's what I'm facing in my everyday life. It's not like such a big deal actually when I'm seeing what other people facing in their everyday life sometimes. So I'm grateful for that. So I can see that, the gratitude. I'm enjoying actually to see more when I understand like how privileged and how lucky I am to be where I am in the space where I am right now, and at the same time understanding that I created it myself. Of course, it took me a lot of time and a lot of work to work with my imaginary, working with my creativity, in the same time seeing like how much we actually can do when we are open and we're living with our heart open. So it's
So there's a lot of ideas about how one can get to know a culture or how one can become part of something that you don't know. You could also see it as a type of apprenticeship, or if you're going from a social science like anthropology, and you might say you're doing field work, but what you're doing is probably neither of them. Right? Something entirely of your own making, because I don't know if you are writing about it or if you're documenting what you're experiencing in some way or another, and what your purpose of understanding the other culture is, other than what you just said about getting to know yourself and getting to know more about yourself, and also facing some of your limitations. Yeah.
well, it's not, it is sometimes, yes, I do document things, and I special when I'm in the new places, I kind of like do my best to like do the videos and some conversation. I'm like sometimes I'm interviewing people. It depends on my mood. It depends on what I'm again what my intention is. General, when I'm traveling, for example, I'm facing my own fears, because many times we have this idea of solo travelers. It's not like safe. Some places is not safe. Some places is not like this and that. You have many like stories, and in reality, when you are there, many people want to help you. Many people want to serve you. Many people want to guide you the great experience of their own culture or of their own country. So like when I believe like when we have open heart and a kind heart, and we're positive and joyful, I believe like we're meeting in our journey happy and joyful people as well. So like it's all about learning, exploring the human potential, and I like to learn about human people, like a humans itself. And it's not, for me, it's not about the like not just going like learning about their history and find all these artifacts, something like that. It's about like learning about human potential, like why people have a dreams. For example, like when I'm going to China, like every time when like in China, for example, one of them I what like inspires me was the Chinese wall. This thousand kilometers of China wall that is there, that you can walk for, I don't know, for months probably. And the fact is like I was just thinking about the commitment, the level of commitment to build it and create it for years and years and years, for generation and generation. How much patience they have, how much like the vision that they have that time, the dream that they had that time. So it's very, when I'm in the country, I'm learning of their traditions or the values that was there. and how much they actually connected to the values that is there. So I'm learning from the perspective of human potential, of the values that human can develop by creating something impactful and creating something beautiful, and at the same time something very powerful, and spending so much time of building it. And you know, the vision itself, it's like also strong to have that vision and motivate and inspire other people that they also can see that vision. So I like, for me, Asia is very fascinating. Many countries is like incredible, beautiful, and so much history and so much and cultures. And other fact, for example, when I'm in Europe, I learning about, for example, like right now, what I'm learning right now is about the kings and queens, and the way the way they were ruling the country, and how they were ruling the country, and why they were doing what they were doing, from what point of strategy, what strategy they were using to access something that they want to access. For example, 500 years ago, when Portugal was the one of the like biggest empires, because of the slaves they were bringing to the country, and the slaves from other parts like Africa, how many colonies they have. They were fighting with, that time they were not fight sorry they were competing with England and Spain, with other like colonies outside of Portugal. And the way they were um, working, or I would say liberating, or in the way they were like communicating, or creating the strategy, the way they were developing the strategy, how they want to do the um, work with them, or like creating the story or history that we have right now, about like some colonies like Angola or Mozambique, that's still like belong somehow to Portugal, and they still speaking Portuguese, and like the way they respect, the way they like um, everything, that it's like just so beautiful to look at, and it's just so beautiful to like understand the power of the strategy that they had that time. Even so, they're a small country compared to Britain, that was big, big, big that time, and they still did a lot of amazing uh, commitments, and culture kind of like shaking that time things for the other countries. They had, from my perspective, they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's hard for me to grasp the idea of fun when it comes to um, slaves and all that. But I know, well, we also know that the slave trade was not only the European countries, but also the African cultures that were part of it, and the destinations, what was done there. So yeah, there's a lot there, but I can't see that as fun at this point. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just a history. I'm not talking about the slave right now. Of course, I don't support that part either. It's just a part of the history, how they were playing with each other that time of the history, because the king and queens, the way they were playing with each other, the way they were kind of like I don't know how, the kind of like playing with the power that they have, and the way they were creating all the saying, oh, look at me, I have so much land, or look at me, I have so much of this, or I have so many. I don't know how they were communicating that time. I just know that they were so proud of have that, and they were so like kind of like having their own kind of pride about that. And I'm just thinking like it's not we cannot judge what was happened already. We can just learn from that, and we can like see what we can do better from the for the future, and what we can improve, because we're still living in the world of, you know, right now, like in the world of like king and queens, and right now the king and queens don't have the same power that they had before. And the things is they're just symbols of the power. The things that they're not in power anymore, and still we still have a hierarchy. It's just a different way of hierarchy works. When you look from the, for example, on UN, or like look European Union, it's still hierarchy. Everything in what we're facing is working on the not linear. It's working on the like, you know, everyone is kind of commanding, you know, especially when you're getting the better management position, you like you have so many people you can manage, or you know, better you position it, more people you get to manage. And I'm feeling like it doesn't change so much since like 500 years ago. It's just the way we're connecting right now is just different. Before it was not easy. Right now I have access to everyone through the email. I can write, for example, me being boss, I can write email directly to any one of my workers and just express them what I think and the way I want to like do something better. And the before, if I'm like a queen of the country, it's not easy for me to go to someone who is you know, in the bottom of the hierarchy to communicate with them, because I get to go for so many layers to meet that person, for example, or ask so many people to have the access towards that. Right now we don't anymore living in the world that we're living, where we're living 500 years ago. We improve so much. We improve our communication, we improve our way of connecting, we improve our level of so many levels of ourselves as a human beings. And I believe like we're moving towards more peace, and I trust that uh, being in a peace within ourselves, that's already the first start towards a peaceful, you know, like a global world that we're all in peace, for example. So it's all perspectives, and it's every time when we're learning the history, we get to understand that history repeating itself with just different faces, and it's all the same. So we get to just be aware of it and be better, like really work towards to be better human beings, because we have absolutely everything to be better. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, there's an important goal when you speak of A Course in Miracles is to have peace of mind. Now, how do you approach the idea of having peace of mind? Because in A Course in Miracles, it says you can't change the world, but you can change the way you see it, right? The way you interpret it, the way you understand it.
Yes, like I agree with that, because I feel, you know, when we are in like we're facing some conflict in our everyday life, in our work, or a family, or with our like whatever we're going through, like every time I feel like it's the first place we get to understand that how we can improve ourselves, what we can do better, how I can like learn how I can be more joyful today. It's again, it's a perspective, it's training, it's a training of us being better human being. That's why we get to have this better idea of being better human being. And I feel like everyone has the opportunity, whether it is to be peacekeeper, to learn, to understand what it is to be a peacekeeper, and how I can keep the peace within myself. Even so, like around me is a chaos and disorder, I still can keep the peace inside of me, because it's up to me to keep this peace. And I get to have clear idea what peace for me, and that's and practice it day by day, until that I am the peace. And that's started slowly see the peace around you, and you started to kind of like get clarity that actually it's been everything is just perspective. So you switch that perspective, because you switch something within yourself, and you see completely different thing outside as well. That's, I believe, like that's everything is up to us, and everything it's our own way of seeing the world, the way we want to see the world. And we can create anything. And I believe, like when we believe in a joyful, beautiful world full of abundance and joy, we get to be first this abundance and joy, and communicate it with the world, and showing and sharing that with the world. And it takes time, of course, and it's not like a one-day project, it's a life project. That's why it's a life commitment towards that.
Yeah, that's a big thing to recognize, that you also have a choice about things. You can actually see things differently. In A Course in Miracles, it speaks about that choice. And I'm not saying that I'm a master of it or anything, but I think it's a great idea, is that you have a choice. You can choose. So you can choose peace instead of this, it says, is one of the things, and it says in A Course in Miracles. So your idea of what's going on, if you change it, you can actually choose peace instead of what you were thinking before. And that's quite a tall order, of course, because you might be in a situation where you're really unhappy with it, and you think you have so many reasons to be angry and annoyed and to do whatever else, and then to choose peace instead. Yeah, quite amazing.
Exactly. And I every time as a human beings, we have a choice to believe in live in heaven and have a joyful life, and a life full of abundance and joy, and or live in hell and have a scarcity mindset, and are being afraid of everything that's around us. It's a choice that we decided to live. In my life, for example, I'm living a fairy tale, adventure, and comedy, and I live in heaven already, heaven here and now. I'm like everything what I'm surrounded, it's heaven. This is my heaven, and it's my choice to live in this heaven. That as a human being, I have a choice. So as a human being, I decided to live in heaven, and all the people around me, they want to help you, and sometimes we have maybe some kind of like a disagreements, because we have different belief system. That's why where we get to work on and clarify some things about how we can feel, like how we can match our beliefs, how we can work on them, how we can make them way more mindful, and be gentle with each other, how we can learn to be loving with each other, and how we can actually understand that we're here to share the experience of life, to share the life itself while we're here. So how we can continue to be kind to each other and caring about each other. That's the big question for me, for example, that I'm facing in my everyday life, because many people, whatever is happening in a second, they rather way started to, blaming you, or like they don't even want to understand the situation. Many times they just trying to, like, when they're frustrated or something, they it's a natural human things that they just pouring it on to someone that the closest to them in this moment. And it's a normal process. Sometimes I feel like it would be good to people just stop, observe, and let it go, instead to pouring something that is not helpful or doesn't serve actually in the bigger picture itself. And many times people don't even have this idea of stop and let it go, or stop, observe, and let it go, and understand, does it really serve me if I'm going to share that? Does it really help me to to do what I do? They don't even have, because they're so impulsive and they're so like in the kind of in the emotion right now. And whatever they're going through in the emotion, I feel like it's always the way to improve. And at the same time, they get to be open to improve themselves. They get to like kind of like have um, mindset to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be reflect through the whole of their life, and they will never learn. And many people like that. I don't say that it's I haven't met almost people who is not like that. It's very very rare when you're going to meet people who is emotional intelligent and can understand the beauty of positive thinking, and enjoy like what is joy, and actually what it is to live a heaven and joyful life. Because when people getting comfortable and something is like a little bit uncomfortable coming into their life, they're getting very easily irritated by that, because they're so comfortable, they like their like comfort zone or comfort bubble. And when someone is challenging them to be a little bit better, they don't want to. Many of them don't want to be better, or they just don't even think the idea of the better, because they think they're perfect the way they are, or they think that they don't want to change themselves because they're comfortable the way they are. And that's normal. Like some people come to the point of life that they're comfortable, they don't want to change anything in their life because they're comfortable. And I feel like life is about to learning consistently, and it's about like really be curious about other human being or the situation, and or the game itself, like learning how to be curious and why you want to be curious. Because I feel like we get to have this kit within ourselves and continue to be curious about life itself, like really be curious from our heart, and like be playful. And many of times people forget to be playful, they can forget to be like a kids. They just want to stay in their comfort bubble, and they don't want to do anything, or they getting too impulsive about something, and they don't, it doesn't help them to grow. Because to be impulsive, they're just staying in this, they're stuck, I call it like in the stuckness, and it doesn't allow them to grow or change something in their life, because of that comfort bubble that they develop for themselves. I don't say it's something not good. I'm just saying like everyone is different, everyone choose their own way of being and the way they would like to continue to live their life and develop themselves. Because that's the beauty of life, we are all different, we all have our own journey, and the way we want to approach our journey, and our mindset, the way we want to develop our mindset and continue to develop our mindset. That's the beauty of life, where some people will stay, some people will go, and you get to accept that. And I believe God always wants us to be authentic ourselves. He really wants us to grow and always being kind towards each other, and at the same time be aware that we all have our differences and appreciate these differences. That's how I see that.
Yeah, it's a very important thing is feeling that and being willing to choose. And yeah, even change, you're right about comfort and feeling comfortable where one and the way one is. Well, yeah, you may not be happy with it, but you certainly have gotten used to it. So if I understand you correctly, through your traveling and so on, you've been able to step out of what you thought was your comfort zone into a new comfort zone that developed from that, and then always moving on from there. Yeah, and the choosing to be happy, yeah, that's a very, very important thing, and I guess I still have a lot to learn about that, and I'm really happy that people are on that journey, right? Choosing happiness again and again, no matter how often one fails at it.
That's true. I feel like the happiness. Do you remember John Lennon was imagine all the people, and when he was like at school, he wrote like, I just want to be happy, and that's it. And that's I feel like to be happy, it's easy. It's really, that's what I used to say to people. It's very easy to be happy. The thing is, people all the time wants more and more and more and more, and it's never like enough for them of how much they want. And it's great that they want the things. And at the same time, I'm feeling it's good that they can just be happy what they have already. And when it's coming more, it's great. They just get appreciated as well. And at the same time, be happy what they have. Many times people are not happy what they have. They want more and more and more, and they, don't appreciate what they have, and they always want to kind of like in their own way, and they want to do things in the way that they want to do things. And I respect that as well. Like it's great that people have the ideas. It's great that people have the way of seeing how they want to see their happiness. And at the same time, I feel like to be happy, it's easy. It's super easy. It's just like have your cup of coffee in the morning, a cup of tea in the evening, like sunrise, sunset, the easiest. You just smile, like somebody smile to you, it creates smile. And like, what makes you happy? Think about like small things that makes you happy in every day of your life, and just focus on that. And that's in practice that, and it's going to give you, it's elevates your energy after a while. It elevates your reality as well. So happiness is just it can come and go. It's the joy. That's something very powerful. When we started to access joy and actually learn more about being joyful, what it is to be joyful consistently, it's a practice, it's a choice, and it's a really like practicing what it is to be a joyful human being consistently. That's how you continue, like how you actually change your life completely, by being joyful, by making that decision, being joyful.
It's a very beautiful thing to do. I'm very happy you have found a way to do that. That works. That's wonderful. So in A Course in Miracles, it says that God's will for you is your perfect happiness. So it's also your true will is aligned with that. So everyone's will. So we all want to be perfectly happy. Is something that A Course in Miracles says we could all agree on. I mean, there might be people who argue differently, but I think there's a deep truth to that. So, is there any question I haven't asked you that you'd like to answer?
Probably like people can find me on my website, Aisha.today. It's AISHA today. And I also published my book that's called Joyful Living Guidebook. People can find it on Amazon. Just Google it, Joyful Living Guidebook, and you can find it. Also have online program called Joyful Living. And and I also give like one-on-one sessions about make a clarity about dream life and joyful life that people would like to live, or like they have the ideas and they haven't make any kind of like decisions or movements towards their joyful life or their dream life. So I'm helping them to put it in order and put it in more like kind of in their own bubble to live their dream life. I'm a dream doer, or like I'm helping people to live their dream.
Yeah, that's a beautiful job to help people live their dream and live your own at the same time. Yeah, beautiful.
Yes,
So
I live my dream. I enjoy it very much.
I'd like to thank you for this conversation. Thank you for joining us on this journey of walking each other home. So walking each other to being perfectly happy. I guess that's because home would be being perfectly happy, I'd say, or heaven, or whatever we want to call it. Yes, I think perfect happiness would be that place. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, everyone who's listening, thank you for joining us. For everyone who's watching as well, please let people know about the podcast, spread the word, and yeah, post about it and review it and subscribe. And if you want to be a guest, please reach out to me so that you can share your beautiful perspective and your understanding of how we can move forward in being perfectly happy more and more. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And happy week and joyful living. Namaste.
Thank you. You too. Bye.